Am I the a-hole for humiliating my father in front of other family members? Hi, I'm not American. I, female in my early 20s, work 2 jobs. One of them is a corporate job in the industry I specialized in after uni in the morning. The other is a teaching job in the afternoon. I work from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. most days, but I chose to. That is true. My goal is to save up and buy a parcel of land to build on eventually. My dad has been unemployed for around a decade, and he has taken up the role of a stay-at-home husband but does very little chores and never cooks. I don't have any say in this because my mom asked me to stay out of their marriage arrangements, and so I do. Yesterday, my aunt, dad's cousin, and her husband were at my parents' house, and so was I, as I still live here. My aunt was flattering me and telling me how hardworking and responsible I was, to which I replied with similar compliments for her children. My dad went into the conversation and started to underestimate my efforts, saying how easy both my jobs were and how unworthy of any compliments I was for it. I politely cleared that they weren't all that easy and that they were meaningful to me, and of course tiresome to me. I said of course my jobs were more comfortable than agriculture or warehouse working, some of the jobs he worked in the past, but that they are equally as important. He got ruder and started saying I only knew how to whine and that working 2 jobs has no merit. He also added that I didn't even make a lot of money, and I refuted that I make a fair amount. I got offended and said he shouldn't be the one to speak, given I work 2 jobs and he works 0, and my salaries pay for a lot of our household expenses, more than is strictly fair. He said he keeps the house, but I said I do way more chores than him, as well as my mom. I dropped it and changed the topic after my aunt started scolding him for not appreciating my efforts. Later on, he screamed at me and called me an a-hole for defending myself and humiliating him in front of my aunt by saying he doesn't have a job. He said it is normal to talk bad about your own children's accomplishments and I should have taken it. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, and it is not normal to talk bad about your children. You're supposed to be happy about them. Edit. Just to clarify, I meant it's not normal to talk bad about your child's hard work and achievements, and you're supposed to congratulate them for it. It's 100% not normal to put them down the amazing stuff they've done. Exactly. I take every chance I get to build up my children and recognize the efforts they put in. My teenage daughter had her first job last summer. It was an unpaid volunteer position, but it was absolutely work. I'm still bragging about it. She showed all the qualities of a hardworking, reliable person that you could ask for, and I'm very proud to be her father. I hope he's not the a-hole. Her dad needs to check himself on his entitled attitude. I didn't realize this until after my marriage. At my dad's speech, my husband pointed out how it was full of anecdotes that were about failings of mine. I guess I was so used to it that I didn't realize it. It felt like self-deprecating humor, except it was my dad and not me saying it. I still to this day probably downplay my accomplishments, and I wonder if it was a live fool or subtle digs. Not the a-hole. You pay for the majority of things, plus do most of the chores. And your father has the audacity to treat you this way? I think it's clear what you need to do. Time to leave and let him fend for himself. Yeah, he can't contribute, and I can't let my mom just pay for the 3 of us without contributing, so we end up going 60-40 most of the time. She makes more than me, but from 1 job. He doesn't like chores, and whenever he does them, he leaves those chores that would make my life easier out of the deal. Normal to talk bad about your children's accomplishments. Well, actually, most parents do the exact opposite. If he doesn't want to be seen as not contributing to the household, he needs to start actively contributing to the household, rather than belittling the efforts of others to appear better. Not the a-hole. I've been told he brags sometimes, but only if I'm not around. But he says things like, "Thanks to me, she's accomplished," or "I raised her so well that now she works as..." So I don't know how much of a praise to me it really is. Haha. Next story. Am I the a-hole for flipping out at my husband for canceling my daughter's job interview? My daughter, Mia, is 23 years old. She's a college graduate and recently started looking for a job. Her stepdad, my husband, has been begging her to come work at his company, but she refused because she said that most employees there are men, and that they make uncomfortable comments about women and that they make her feel uncomfortable. She went to the company many times and felt uncomfortable. She said that in those 30 to 40-minute visits, she couldn't handle the negative vibe, so she couldn't imagine working there 8+ hours every day. My husband insisted, and basically gave her a pros list that he thought is enough to make her reconsider. She still refused. Her best friend found her a job opportunity at a company that's well known in our area, and Mia was excited beyond measure. She even went shopping for new clothes just for the interview. However, the day of the interview, I got a call from her crying saying her interview was cancelled. I was confused, thinking something must have gone wrong, but she said that her stepdad got home and told her he cancelled the interview using her email, which led to an argument. I was livid. I went home and I flipped out at him. Like I just lost it on him and he was shocked by my reaction. He defended himself, saying he did this for her own good and that he was frustrated after she kept turning down his offer to join him at a company. He lashed out, saying that instead of siding with her, I should be encouraging her to join the company and help make it better, instead of working for others. I got out of the room and he shut the door and stayed inside the whole time. We still aren't on speaking terms, but he occasionally threw in how he just wanted what's best for the whole family. But now Mia missed an opportunity to work with a respectable company and gain the benefits that would help her progress in her career. Not the a-hole. Your daughter is an adult. She gets to make adult decisions. One of them is not working for her stepfather. See if she can't reschedule that interview. Something to the effect of, "Good morning, person. My profuse apologies for the previous email and confusion. This account was accessed by somebody who does not represent me and should not have the authority to speak on my behalf. I have taken steps to secure my email account so that this does not happen again. Would you be so kind to allow me to reschedule my interview?" Edit. In case you, or anybody else reading, decides to take this advice, I honestly wouldn't add or remove any detail from this example. Too much detail makes it sound like you have excuses. Too little makes it sound like you don't care enough. Say exactly what information you would need to know if the roles were swapped. No more, no less. Please encourage her to do this, OP. If she needs a witness, ensure her that would back up her statement if need be. Not the a-hole, but seriously, your husband sucks, and so does his company. He created a company with an environment that is super misogynistic and straight up toxic for women. Birds of the same feather flock together, OP. He is giving off super creepy and very controlling vibes. Yes, his refusal to accept multiple no's from a young woman is disturbing, as is his obsession to have Mia working at his company. Not the a-hole. Is he normally this domineering and controlling? Dude straight up hacked her emails and ruined an opportunity that she actually wanted. Your daughter has good judgment in not wanting to work anywhere near him. Not to mention he practically bragged about it to the daughter after he did it, and then was shocked when Opie was upset. Sounds like this guy's not used to being told no, or opposed in any way. Some serious red flags here. I hope Opie leaves him. I'd never put up with someone doing that to my kid. Not the a-hole. Report this to the police. What your husband did was commit fraud, and possibly illegally accessed your daughter's email as well. Make it clear to your husband that he's making choices that ensure his daughter will not speak to him ever again. Consider whether you want to spend your life with somebody who could do this to someone he claims to love. If your daughter still lives at home, please do what you can to get her out of there and away from your abusive husband. Exactly. And not only make it clear that the daughter will not speak to him, but Opie will not speak to him either. Like he legit has to find a way to resolve this in the best way for the daughter, or the husband would have to leave, in my opinion. Next story. Am I the a-hole for putting a debt on my daughter? My wife and I are in the fortunate position of being wealthy. We had to work our butts off to get where we are, and we never forget where we came from. Our kids grew up rich kids, but we never spoiled them even when we could have. They went to nice schools, had nice things, but they also had summer jobs and after-school jobs to pay for their own extras. We also push philanthropy in our family, so our kids recognize they're privileged and that our life isn't even remotely how regular people live. I'd say for the most part, our kids have grown up to be respectful and good people. Our oldest children are twin boys and their sister, who is 18 months younger than them. All three are in college now. Our youngest two are in 8th grade. I got a call from our bank a couple days ago, saying that someone had cashed a check that was charged to our bank account in the amount of about $62,000, and that the check had been made out to the tuition office of the university my oldest 3 kids attend. Naturally, I investigated the matter myself with the university and got some answers. I pieced together that one of my kids snagged my checkbook and wrote a tuition check for a friend of theirs. There's a much bigger story behind why this kid couldn't pay, but that's private, and my wife and I agreed to fund this young person's education because of their private struggles. I grilled my kids and figured out that it was our daughter, Joanna. Joanna was apologetic, but she was also quite insistent that she stood behind her actions. I respect my daughter for her convictions, and she really did have good reasons for why she did it. But the fact remains that she stole and then she hid it. Joanna asked what her punishment is, and I told her to get a job because she now owes her mother and I $62,000. Here's the thing. I don't expect Joanna to pay us back, and if she came to me tomorrow with the money, I wouldn't take it. What I want is to see an effort made, an acknowledgement of her actions and the consequences. If I see that she's actively trying, I'll tell her that she doesn't have to pay me back. She's my kid and I love her, so all I want is for her to learn a lesson. But Joanna doesn't know all this. All she thinks is that she owes me $62,000. So naturally, I'm a horrible father and a very mean person. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I actually think you should follow through and expect her to pay it back in full. Same. Otherwise, she'll think from now on, oh, I just have to do what he wants for a couple weeks and I'll be good. I think you're spot on for how you're addressing the sneaking, stealing, and lies. I'm sure you made it clear that she had to come to you and made a case for helping this person out. There would have been no consequence, but that the disciplinary action is a result of the dishonesty and theft, not the a-hole. That's the thing. Had she come to me and explained what was going on with this friend of hers, a nice kid we've known since her freshman year, would have been happy to pay. What is money and having wealth if you aren't going to help those who need it? We can't understand why she'd hide and lie, and sneak and steal since we've never once denied using our money for good. I have a whole scholarship fund set up at my own alma mater to send kids to college. This kind of thing is my favorite kind of giving. I'd be more concerned about the stealing. She could go to prison for this kind of thing. You don't want her to suffer those consequences, but her just glossing over theft and fraud doesn't bode well for her future. If she did this to anyone else or anywhere else, her future could be over. If she knew you'd foot the bill, what was the impetus behind her actions? Other than to see if she could get away with it. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for going through my daughter's room while she was asleep? Hello, I, 49 female, have a 17-year-old daughter. Throughout middle and high school, she has had some problems with smoking weed and vaping. I have gone through her room and belongings on several occasions when she has not been home to try and make sure she's not doing anything illegal. And most of the time, I don't find anything, but I can never be too sure. She's over a month into her senior year and has really let her grades slip. She is normally a straight A AP student, but she has several B's in the grade book right now. I am very disappointed in her as this is her senior year and she should not be screwing around like this. Last night while she was asleep, I decided to go through her room because I figured if her grades were this poor, she must be misbehaving. I looked through her drawers and closet, but I couldn't find anything, so I decided to look through her phone. To do this, I had to get on her bed and reach over as she sleeps with it by her pillow facing the wall. While grabbing her phone, I saw her wallet and decided to look through that too. I gave up on looking through her phone because I couldn't figure out her password, so I opened her wallet and started looking through it. In her wallet, I found an empty vape pod and saw red. I woke her up at about 5:30 and confronted her about it. She told me that she didn't even know it was in her wallet, and that she didn't even understand why I was mad because I know she quit months ago. She then asked me why I was going through her stuff in the middle of the night, especially since she gave me no reason to. And then she said I was an a-hole and completely betrayed her trust. So am I the a-hole for going through my daughter's room while she was sleeping? Can't wait to see you back here on your am I the a-hole for causing my daughter to go no contact the moment she turned 18? It's weed, not heroin. She's 17 and an academic top performer. What are you getting this worked up over, lady? Chill the heck out, Mom. You're the a-hole. Sounds like Mama probably could benefit from smoking a little herself. My parents treated me this exact way growing up, despite me being top of my class for my entire youth. Messed me up about trusting persons in authority majorly. I hardly talk to them today. Go figure. Yeah, I was top of my class, but my parents luckily were pretty chill about grades. My grades slipped senior year of high school because I was burned out. High school grades matter so little in the grand scheme of things. Every good chance the reason the daughter was smoking is to deal with the stress the mom is putting her under. One of my high school best friends was a consistent B and C student. Decided to buckle down in college and got into a top med school. And then I had friends who were so burned out after high school that they floundered in college. What mom is doing isn't helping her daughter at all. You're the a-hole. Her grade slipped from A to B and she's screwing around? How tiger mom of you. As a parent, you certainly have a right to have a say in what your child does while they still live with you, to a point. You are exhibiting zero trust in your daughter to the point that you are seizing opportunities to ease your extreme paranoia over what your daughter does behind your back. You absolutely violated her trust. Why would you trust you? She's given you zero reason to suspect her of screwing around, except apparently a slight drop in grades, which honestly doesn't call for what you did. Seriously think about the relationship you want to have with your daughter because she will soon become an adult. And if you keep expressing this level of paranoia and overprotection, she's going to eventually want to cut you out of her life. Further, she won't want to come to you for help or advice because she won't be able to trust you. What if she gets in trouble when she's at college or working, and she desperately needs someone to help her, but she can't think of anyone because her mother would just mistreat her for getting into trouble? I had this kind of parent, and I got kicked out because of a fight about how to fold towels. You're the a-hole for sure. I have a great job, and 12 years later, no one has ever looked at my high school or college grades. Just that I have a degree. Am I the a-hole for not getting rid of my pets so my pregnant friend could stay with me? I, female 32, have 4 rescue pigeons that cannot be released because of health reasons, like can't fly. They're happy birds and have a good life. I live alone in an inherited house, and half of the top floor is converted into a big pigeon room where they have all their stuff. They're trained to potty in specific places, but can roam around the house except the kitchen. They have their sleep places in the big room and are locked there at night for their safety. My friend female 32 Chantel, though we're not really friends anymore. We were a long time ago. Now we just kind of know each other as our lives move down in totally opposite direction. Has currently 2 kids and is 5 months pregnant with her third. Her partner was locked up a few months back, and she's about to be evicted because she hasn't paid rent in 12 months. One day out of the blue, she knocked on my door and started chatting. She told me everything and asked if it would be possible for me to let her move in and she'd pay rent. I refused, saying that I don't have the room for her and the kids. She told me I could get rid of my birds and they could take the room upstairs. I said that absolutely not, and unfortunately I won't be able to help her. She freaked out, told me I was a selfish a-hole, that I care about doing more for animals than humans, and a lot of other nasty things. I kicked her out. I rarely go on Facebook. I have my old one from uni, but I rarely go. And not even 24 hours after I kicked Chantel out, my other friend messaged me to log in to see what's happening, and Chantel was lagging me off everywhere, posting nasty things, and her friends joined her and it was so very nasty. I do feel bad though, and I wonder if they're right. Perhaps I am the a-hole here. Should I have let her stay with me? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She got kicked out for not paying rent for over a year, and then told you she'd definitely pay you rent? Does that seem likely to you? You'd end up being trapped in your own home by someone who'd then claim, I have a newborn, you can't kick me out, and constantly find another reason to force you to let her occupy your home with her family, while contributing nothing. That was what got me too. Entitled lady won't pay a dime. Not the a-hole OP. Exactly. And if all her friends are so happy to jump on board the trash OP train, why don't they put her up? OP's definitely not the a-hole and dodged a bullet. Who the heck knocks on someone's door and asks them to get rid of their pets so they can move in? Not the a-hole. Especially when it's someone you haven't really been in contact with for some time. So not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Chantel's situation is sad for her and especially her kids, but it is not your responsibility. Why can't one of the friends who joined her in slagging you off take her in? Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking when I read this. Let one of those friends of hers take her and her brood in. My best guess is that they won't, because they know they won't get rent money. Next story. Am I the a-hole for laughing in my friend's face because he said I'm financially abusing my boyfriend? My boyfriend, Matt, and I have been together for about 10 months now, and he moved in with me about 4 or 5 months ago. I own my flat, and I have a somewhat well-paying job. Matt just went back to school part-time while working a lower-paying job. He pays for half the food/utilities/dates. I like to travel a lot, but Matt can't really afford it, so I mostly go with my friends. But he came with us for a little winter holiday after Christmas. After we got back, one of my friends, David, who was with us too, came to me saying he wants to talk to me about Matt. David told me that he observed Matt during our vacation, and what I was doing to him really wasn't okay. He saw that Matt was struggling to pay for things, often checking if he had enough money. David eventually said that it's wrong of me to expect Matt to pay for half of everything since I make so much more than him, and a fair thing would be to divide things based on our income percentages. Like, I pay for 70% of the things and Matt only pays 30% instead of 50-50. David told me that I'm not allowing Matt to save any money of his own, trapping him in our relationship, since Matt couldn't afford to live alone, and that's financially abusive. I just laughed at David's face. This is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. I didn't really try to refute anything he was saying because none of it made any sense. David got really offended, /angry, /disappointed, or I don't know what. It was kind of hard to read, and he said he expected better of me, that he came to me with a genuine concern wanting to be helpful, and he didn't expect my immature reaction to it. It has been a couple days since this, and I still can't wrap my head around it. I'm thinking maybe I should apologize to David for laughing at him, as he really did look concerned. But what the heck was he even thinking about? Am I the a-hole? Edit. I did make one point to David after laughing, which was that Matt lives with me for free. I only ask for half the utilities, which is less than 50 euros a month. I, on the other hand, have a pretty big mortgage. To this, David said that Matt lived with his parents before without having to pay rent, so that's irrelevant, and I felt like there wasn't much more to be said. Info: whose idea was it to move in together after only dating 5 months? Both of ours. He lived with his parents and it was a bit too far away. Was he living there free? He chose to be in a situation where he would be struggling for money? He pretty much had the same arrangement he has with me. No rent, but contributed to the utilities and paid for his own food. What? You aren't married with him, so you're not liable to financially support him. He's not even paying rent. He's an adult that made a big boy decision to move out of his parents. Now, if he's paying more than he can afford, then accept that he can't afford this lifestyle and needs to move back home. The financial abuse accusation was beyond unreasonable, not the a-hole. If someone accused me of financially mistreating my 10-month-old relationship boyfriend who lived in my house rent-free, I would laugh, purely from the confusion and ridiculousness of it all, which I'm assuming is what Opie did. The offense for laughing is way lighter than this incredibly out-of-pocket accusation. And this. To this, David said that Matt lived with his parents before without having to pay rent, so that's irrelevant. It's utter hogwash. Opie is not Matt's mother. If he couldn't save money living with his parents for free, it's not Opie's fault he's not saving money living with her for free. Not the a-hole. Sounds like Matt gets to choose his discretionary spending after it pays his way in food, utilities, etc. Like the cost of living. You're not forcing him to travel with you or to do any of the other things that you do. You don't control his money or his accounts or his time. If he wasn't living with you, he'd probably be in a worse position. He's currently living rent-free. That's the sacrifice you make when you cut back hours to go back to study. Again, his decision. David is showing his entitlement and inserting himself where he has absolutely no right or relevance. He needs to get over himself. And in such a new relationship, I personally think it would be inappropriate for Opie to be subsidizing boyfriend's decision to study anyway. That would be a red flag on his side, expecting a partner of less than a year to support him through study. Next story. Am I the a-hole for shouting at my roommate's girlfriend? Quick backstory. Me and Danielle have been best friends ever since we moved into an apartment in our freshman year. But I've noticed he's afraid to speak up to his girlfriend. My roommate Danielle's girlfriend, Sarah, recently moved in with us. Although I agreed to it as long as she contributed to the apartment, she hasn't done anything to help out. She doesn't offer to cook, clean, or do the laundry. One day when Sarah had no work, I asked her to do the laundry and wash the dishes before I went to pick up dinner, and she said no. When I asked her why, she said I hadn't told her to do it. Danielle was present and said the issue was between Sarah and me, but I let it go. I bust my butt at work, and all I want are 2 things to be done. That's all. She is completely lazy and doesn't do any work for the apartment. It's always me and Danielle. I approached Danielle to tell him and he said to me, "It's not a big deal. Let it go." I told him that she's living here for free. She doesn't pay for any expenses, and the least she can do is do some laundry once in a while and help around the house. This recent incident really ticked me off. The day I was going to work, I woke up at 6 a.m. fully energized. I made myself dinner for that night and left it in the fridge. Out of nowhere, I heard Sarah say, "I'm going to the grocery store. Do you need anything?" Internally, I was happy, thinking that she had finally changed as a person and realized what she was doing was wrong. I said, "Yeah, I really need shampoo for tonight. We have none left." She said, "Yeah, can I please have some money?" I gave her $20 and went about my day, and she said she would give me the change later that night. I was happy for the entire day. But then when I got home, I saw her watching TV all alone as Daniel had to work late. I quickly took off my clothes and headed to the shower. I realized there was no shampoo. I called for Sarah and asked her, "Where's the shampoo?" I noticed her nails were not painted when I left, but when I came back they were red. I checked the receipt that I found in the trash and saw that she had bought nail polish and some other stuff. I asked her why, and she simply said, "I forgot. Sorry." You know what? I let it go. After showering with watered-down shampoo, I opened the fridge to see that my meal was half-eaten. Sarah said she ate half my food because it was a lot. I lost my cool completely after. I told her, "You're living here for free. You eat for free. You don't do anything for this apartment. You don't clean, you don't cook, you don't do laundry. You leave dirty clothes on the floor everywhere. And you don't buy groceries. What can you do? This has been happening for 2 months straight. I'm sorry, but I just can't take it anymore. I bust my butt waking up at 6 a.m. to make dinner, just to realize it's half-eaten. What's the point?" Afterwards, Sarah and I exchanged some pretty nasty words. It didn't end well, and I don't know what to do anymore. Now for the comments. So not the a-hole. Seriously, you need to have a house meeting. You need to let Daniel and Sarah know that if things don't change, you can't see yourself living there much longer. This is only going to get worse before it gets better. If something isn't said/done now. Info, you gave her $20 to buy shampoo. She didn't buy shampoo. Did you get your $20 back? Because if you didn't, she just stole your $20 for herself. But also, she shouldn't be doing his laundry. She should be doing her own laundry, but roommates shouldn't be expected to do each other's laundry. That's way over the top in my opinion, and not reasonable. She lives rent-free. That is part of the payment for a roof over the head. Sounds like you need to tell her to leave. If she's not on the lease, it should be easy. And since Daniel is not doing anything to help the situation, I would let your apartment management know your roommate has been letting someone stay with you for 2 months. Since most apartments have policies that you cannot have long-term tenants stay without being added to a lease. Absolutely not the a-hole. First, she should not have come to stay there for free. That was the first issue. But it's kind of between her and her boyfriend how they split the rent. Second, if you and Dan are sharing chores, they needed to be rescheduled. If not, Dan picks up all sort of chores. Third and not least, eating someone's food, no matter how you're related to them, is always a huge a-hole move. I will definitely talk with Danielle to rearrange the house rules. If he and her refuse, then it's you or them out. Depends in which name is the lease. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to take my sister-in-law on a romantic getaway? My female 28 have been friends with Brittany, female 28, since we were about 5 or 6, and we are very close to this day. As part of having a friendship with me, she was around my brother, who would be 30, quite a lot as children, and their romance blossomed as teenagers. They were married 5 years ago. Unfortunately, my brother passed 2 years ago in a tragic accident and left behind a mountain of debt for Brittany. She was 8 months pregnant at a time, and ended up moving in with my parents. Her and her daughter, Lilac, 2 female, live with my parents to this day, and the family alternate watching Lilac so Brittany can get her degree. Everyone has really rallied around Brittany in such a trying time. For Christmas, my husband, male 30, bought an all-exclusive trip for him and I to explore Paris and have a romantic getaway. I've always had France on my wish list, and I'm so grateful to him for such a wonderful gift. We leave in February for 2 weeks, and it is honestly a dream come true. I told my parents about the gift, and they then told Brittany, who called me in floods of tears asking that I take her instead of my husband. She said that she will never be able to experience a romantic getaway like that with her own husband, and that we, my husband and I, could just go again at another time. She said she gave up everything to raise Lilac, and she would love for us to have a girls' trip like we did when we were younger. I told Brittany that that was not possible. This was a gift from my husband to me, and I fully expected to have a romantic getaway with him. Brittany told me that I was punishing her for being a widow, and that it was unfair I would have a love affair in Paris, while she cried at my brother's grave. My husband thinks she's trying to make me feel guilty but said he would step out of the trip if I would like to take Brittany. The thing is that I want to go with my husband, but my parents have since called to tell me that they would watch Lilac and that I should not rub my happy marriage in Brittany's face. My mom told me I would be selfish to leave a grieving widow over Valentine's Day. Am I being an a-hole? Not an a-hole. That's such an unreasonable request, and frankly, if that's the way she feels, she should be going for therapy. You're not throwing your marriage in her face. You're celebrating your marriage between you and your husband. Moreover, your parents are the ones who told Brittany about the trip, not you. So how can they say you are rubbing it in her face? Take a weekend with her to the spa if you want to, but do not compromise about your Christmas gift. And to be honest, the fact she said you are punishing her for being a widow by going to Paris with her husband makes me think she is highly manipulative and/or she needs therapy rather than a trip. So perhaps you and your parents could pay for a therapy if you can afford it. OMG, what is wrong with the people around you? If you and your husband were just dating now and he gave you a ring and proposed to you, would she expect to be the one he married? Because after all, she doesn't have a husband anymore. I understand how difficult it has been for her. It's a very sad story. But you guys are doing all you can to help her. I can't even believe she would ask you to do that. I think she's wallowing in self-pity a little too much, or maybe she's just not thinking clearly. But it was a ridiculous request, and there's no way in hell you should honor it. Your parents should also know better. I don't understand what they're thinking. A trip to Paris is not cheap. It's not like you're going to the local beach and you can afford to go there next year too. It was a gift from your husband to you. Go with your husband and tell the rest of them that you should try to save for another trip, and then you and her can go together maybe next year. Yes, she lost her husband, but you lost your brother. I'm sure you could use a little happiness in your life as well. Go to Paris. Do not feel guilty. Enjoy the heck out of yourselves. The rest of them will get over it. If not, they're not very good friends/family. I had a similar thought. What the heck is wrong with these people? It's like the post about the girl whose family had a go at her because her girlfriend gave her a cake on her birthday and posted a picture on Insta saying happy birthday just because her birthday was the day her nephew passed away. Why do some people think everyone else should stop celebrating because they lost someone? And I do mean after the grieving period.